Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. I hope everyone is having a beautifully blessed morning, afternoon, or evening. We are here in Chicago, and they're telling us that this is the last day of what they used to call it Indian summer. I don't know if that's politically correct now, but anyway, it's the last of our 60-degree weather. And what I was looking at the forecast by next week, I think on Thanksgiving Day it's going to be in the 30s, and then at night it's going to go down into the 20s. I'm not ready. Well, I'm going to get started with our guest because we got a lot to talk about. And I'm sure that you are going to be pleasantly surprised at who I have today. I'm going to show you just a little bit about them before I bring them on. Give you a teaser. To that music. It's really great. So let me tell you a little bit more about who the guests are. It's Dr. Lynne Maureen Hurdle. She is a communication expert and conflict resolution strategist, a facilitator, an international speaker, and a leadership coach with over 40 years of experience. So she must have started when she was like 5. In blending the connection between communication, conflict, and culture. And she's contributed to articles about breaking culture, conflict and cultural breakthroughs to psychology. And her expertise is in helping people transform their lives and persevere and triumph in the most difficult leadership situations. And you know what? I want to grow when I grow up, I want to be like her because she has been doing workshops and deep coaching from Harlem to Hong Kong and from South Bronx to South Africa. Well, let me tell you about this young man, her son. Justin Hurdle Price is also a speaker, a facilitator, and a strategic communications specialist. And he started his conflict resolution workshops for young people and adults at the age of 10. At 10 years old, I don't know what I was doing, but I sure, I think I was playing outside. Anyway, he's co-facilitated workshop in schools for nonprofits and at national conflict resolution conferences all over the country. He's also worked as a trainer and coach for young people from all different backgrounds. And he has helped design workshops for parents, teachers, and young people. Now, he currently, excuse me, works for, it's HUR, I think it's her, Communication Solutions as a strategic communication specialist involved in designing cutting edge workshops. And it includes topics, talking with teens and young adults about racism, and also working with people and managing people who have anxiety. Good grief, young man. He is also a co-facilitator in the On the Matter of Race program and for Youth Thrive Educational Services, transforming conflict for college students. Good grief. You know what? Let me just bring them on because I will be reading for the next hour of all what they do.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yes, amazing intro. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, you know what? It's all about both of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about both of you. And, I love your opening. I
Oh, we
Ah,
do too.
we
And
do
we're
too.
just
Yeah,
jamming.
we was jamming too. It definitely came out better than we ever thought, and we're definitely blessed to have it. So
So I really welcome both of you for being on my show tonight.
Well, thank you for having us.
yeah, the pleasure's ours.
Oh, well, I mean, the pleasure really is all mine. So, let's jump in right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay. So I'm going to start with Dr. Lynn.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So now, when I was reading about your conflict and cultural breakthroughs to as far as psychology,
Hmm.
it's very interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was writing for close to 3 years. I wrote a column for Psychology Today. I was writing articles for them and really around conflict in culture. And a lot of people don't know the connection. I feel like they're cousins, that we don't pay attention to how much culture affects the way that we do conflict as well as the conflicts that we have in our lives. And so I would write about things like cultural gatekeepers, the folks who, when you are at work, or not even just at work, but the folks even in community who, when they see you stepping outside of some cultural norm because you've decided that that's not what you want to live by, they're the ones that try to pull you back or shame you and say, no, this is not who you are, right? You're not. For me, I identify as African American, so it's like, no, that's not black enough. You can't do that, or that's not how we raise our children. because my children really were raised on conflict resolution. And so my husband and I, we got a lot of backlash for that, right? Because it takes a little more patience and a little more of letting them be who they are in order for them to start to learn how to really use the skills and how to communicate better. And it was not this like snatch them up kind of. And so people definitely had opinions about that. But whether it's that or whether it is just that you find people who absolutely will not step outside the culture. It could even be work culture, that this isn't how we do things. And they're going to hold the line and say everybody's got to do it according to whatever the culture says. And so I really liked writing about what were the things that we were in conflict about when it came to the kinds of cultural connections that we have.
Well, what are some of the things?
Well,
Very interested in that.
so things like really respect is an interesting one for me, because whenever someone says respect is important to them, everybody thinks that they agree. Everybody kind of nods their head and says, yeah, that's right, respect is important. But people don't understand that respect means different things to different people. And if you really don't understand someone's cultural norms, like something as simple as when I was teaching students in particular on the college level, here, in particular in the United States, we like respect to be shown by looking us in the eye. And then there are cultures all over the world that actually could never look you in the eye because they have to show you respect by not meeting your gaze, because you're the authority. You're a professor. Like, that's a big thing. And it could be adults. Like, really, that it doesn't really matter. One of the most interesting times I had was in a workshop where there was a gentleman who the whole time that I was teaching, he was going like this. And so when I got to this piece about respect, he said, oh, thank you. He said, in my country, we show respect like this. And I had to keep remembering, no, I'm in America, so I got to do this. And he said, but then I do this because it's natural. And then I remember, he said, thank you. I said, just do whatever is comfortable for you. But it was so ingrained. So that's one of the things that I find that we have conflict about, even roles, right? Who plays what particular role? For me, in conflict resolution, I did a lot of mediation, and I did a lot of mediation with families. And for some families, culturally, I'm not sitting down and talking to my child or any child, because what I say goes, and there's no negotiating here. They're going to do what I say, or there's going to be problems. And what we were trying to do was just establish a way of communicating, because some of the young people were really having problems, and they didn't have anybody to talk to, and they didn't feel like they could talk with their parents. And so we would try to facilitate that. But there were some people who really hardlined it. No, absolutely not. The simple rule is, I'm the adult, you're the child. There's no conversation when I tell you something is right or wrong, or and your feelings, hey, we all have feelings, suck it up. It's really so those were two of the things that were really standing in the way when it came to conflict, and creating a lot more conflict than I felt they needed to be, if folks could really just have an opportunity to sit and talk about it and see how they might be able to resolve some of the conflicts.
Okay, so it kind of gives me a different take on conflict resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking, well, since I was a teacher, and I did want to. I was nodding my head when you were talking about that respect thing.
Yes, I saw you.
Yeah, because we had in the high school I was teaching, and it was a very diverse as far as culture was concerned, and we had children who would look down when we were speaking to them.
Mhm.
And some of the teachers would say, look at me, look
Yeah.
at me,
Yeah.
look at, and they wouldn't. And that was because I think they were from Syria or something.
Okay.
And that was because, like you said, the respect means, looking down and not really looking at you in your eye.
Right.
Whereas in our culture, it's like, look at me when I'm talking to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. And that's actually one of the things. There was a lot of conflict in schools because of that very thing, where
Yeah.
teachers were telling them to look at me, or taking them to the office and saying they were being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Wow. So when I was saying about a different take on it, and when you were saying conflict resolution, when I was reading, I thought that meant more so when you have a conflict with a person. In other words, arguing or disagreeing.
Mm-hmm. Means that too.
Then okay.
Yep.
As
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So let's say I'm from our culture.
Yeah.
And it's a different culture, and I'm having a conflict, and I feel that there's a certain way I think we're supposed to resolve this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you do when you give your workshops, or that you
Yeah. So
talk about the different
there's a few things, right? So when we give workshops, we talk about some of the different cultural barriers, or the reasons that people tend to be in conflict more because of different cultural issues. But then there's also, we both have served in the role of mediator. So if they have that particular person that they're in conflict with, if they want to come together to sit at the table and talk about what's happening with the conflict, we serve in that role, as well as the person who's really listening, guiding the flow of the conversation, not telling them what to say, but helping them to hear one another, and then listen for places where they agree, so that they really understand why they're having the conflict. They understand more about each other, and then they start thinking and working, hopefully together, for a resolution.
Okay. So now, Justin,
Yes.
wait a minute. Now, 10 years old.
That my kids had to work.
Yeah. 10 years old.
Child labor. There are child labor.
Oh, he was getting paid very well.
Yeah.
Feeding him and clothing him, right? Giving him a place to live.
Yeah. 10 years old though.
So Justin, what made you start, focusing on this at 10 years old?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because I feel like in some areas I'm still wrestling with an answer to this day at 22. Because at the end of the day, like you said, at 10, kids are playing, kids are outside. And I definitely was, but I had to get home at a certain hour to wake up at 7 a.m. the next day and, put on my business casual clothes and, go to work. And I think at the end of the day for me,
Wait. Your business casual.
Not business casual. The program you worked in, you wore suits.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm, maybe that's just me being a little modest, but yeah.
Wait, at 10 years old?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Fully
yes.
suited, fully, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. Not every day, but you had to dress. You had to dress for business. Yes. Because we wanted young people, since they were going to go before other young people and adults, we wanted them to get this sense of, if you had to go corporate, you could do it. No question. You had the confidence. You knew what was expected. So anything beneath, in between, you got that, because once you feel like you can survive and thrive in that environment, then everything else is less scary, and a lot of times less formal. And a lot of these young people that were working, because he wasn't the only young person, he was just the youngest of the young people, they had never had suits, and they had never had the occasion to stand in front of someone in a suit and see what that felt like, and encourage other young people to see themselves beyond where they were, and that was just a part of the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Justin, how did you feel? I mean, were you scared or nervous, or did you think the kids were going to make fun of you, and did they?
Yeah. So yeah, so some kids definitely gave me a hard time, as kids will when conflict comes up over obviously little things and kid stuff at that time in your life. When I'm trying to like talk things through, and I'm like, well, what's that making you feel? Why are you taking this out on me? So yeah, I definitely dealt with that kind of stuff and that kind of pushback, as soon as I started. But at the end of the day, I knew that the skills that I was learning, and the opportunities that I was given, and that I worked for, to be completely honest, would in the long run help me achieve the goals that I had for myself way sooner. And so at the end of the day, yeah, it was definitely tough being 10 and 11 and 12, and kids are babysitting or having lemonade shops and all that stuff, and I'm waking up at 7 a.m. to put on a suit and say a mantra every morning that gets me motivated. But these are things that over time build up into character, and I'm definitely proud of who I am today, and only aspire to grow and be better. So I'm grateful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was your mantra?
Oh, I had a few. What was
No, just do good.
I don't remember. I had a few. But we have one that goes good, 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 better, 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 best, 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 best. Never let it rest till your good gets better and your better gets best. So these were things that 8 a.m. We came in as young people, just ready to honestly step outside of whatever we had envisioned for ourselves at that point, and strive to do more.
Wow. I mean, this is really amazing to me. So, Justin,
Yeah.
okay, so uh, what about it says now you are the creator of a group called the Matter of Race.
I'm the creator,
Okay,
and he's a co-facilitator.
okay. So now what is that? Tell us about that.
That's a program for white people who are interested in learning about racism in the United States, because they want to understand and then actually take some action in their part of the world, right,
Mhm.
to help to dismantle racism. And it was started 4.5 years ago at really the request of two friends and coworkers who were also in a business group that I was in. And they were white women, one from Utah, one from, where's she from? Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, they were having friends. They had friends of color in their life. They never had that before. They lived in all white communities, and they did not understand when conversations around racism were coming up. They really had no clue, and sometimes they really felt like they didn't believe their new friends, and they realized that they were the problem, not the friends, that there was something that was missing for them in this conversation, and they really wanted to know what it was. They did not like sitting in a situation and having their friends say that was just racism, and then they're saying, oh, are you sure? I don't think so. I don't think that's what it was about. And they didn't feel comfortable with that. So they asked if I would do it. And I first said no. And because
Why?
I've done this work a lot. And unfortunately, the way that we tend to do this work is mandate people to come. And
Okay.
when you mandate people, a
Yeah.
lot of people, especially white people, are just like, I don't know. I do not want to have this conversation. I do not want to come, but they come. So there's also resistance in the room. It's already an uncomfortable conversation, but when there's resistance to even letting anything in, I do that work, but I didn't want to start a group of people
Yeah.
like that. That I didn't
That's a
want to
lot.
do. So I finally said yes because number one, they both needed it. And number two, I thought that it was what I was supposed to do. And it's been proven right the entire time. No matter how I've tried to not do it, it
But
continues to grow.
it's really, really, really needed.
Yes, it
I
is.
mean, that service is something that actually, if there were groups like this all over, maybe this would be a better world, and
Yeah.
especially a better United States of America.
I absolutely agree. And you need to hear Justin's origin story into On the Matter of Race.
And I
Yes.
was getting ready to ask that.
Perfect. Perfect. So perfect segue. I was just so about a year and a half ago, I was home just hanging out. My mom was teaching one of her classes, and I had come out to get a snack or something in the kitchen, just regular stuff. But I overheard a very deep, intuitive conversation going on. I couldn't see anyone's face or anything. I didn't want to disrupt, so I was kind of eavesdropping from the kitchen, hanging out. I got a stool in there, so I was just sitting down, listening and taking in what was being said. So towards the end of the class, when it was wrapped up, I had approached my mom and I'd say, what's this? What was that? What are you doing? And she had said, this is my On the Matter of Race program, teaching white people about systemic racism in the U.S., helping them find a way to do something about it in their own lives, in their own fields. And my initial reaction was simply like, are you just yelling at these white people, like making them feel bad about being white? Like, are you like, how is that even possible? Are they showing up to just like hear you rant, or how is this space even created? I've never heard of this before. And when we got into the logistics of it, I was very intrigued, and I got invited to be a guest speaker a couple of times, to which that turned into the actual participants wanting me to come in and offer just my experience as a young Black man growing up in the Bronx who has attended PWIs his entire life. And
Wait a minute, I don't know what PWIs
yes,
are.
I was going to make sure I do that. A private white institution. So growing up in those communities, I felt just very out of touch. I felt like I was kind of living in two worlds, because these are kids and families that I was going to school with that had wealth. I mean, like a Gucci belt. A kid was having a Gucci belt as an accessory in sixth grade, right? Whereas I'm coming in with beat up Nikes and just playing outside and still really being a kid. And so I really felt like I was living two different worlds and two different kind of bodies and experiences. And coming into this work, I really got to just not just learn about some of the gaps that I had created for myself in my experiences, right, and how have white people on hand close some of those gaps for me. I really got to be that first young Black man that a few of the white people that we've had come into our program, really give their chance to let their hair down and get to know as a person, right, outside of whatever they saw in the news, whatever maybe negative experience that they had with a person of color in their life or lack thereof, right, of just overall exposure. I really was that catalyst for some of these people. So it's been about a year and a half. It's been great. I absolutely love everyone that we work with and every single person that's come into our work family in that realm. And as hard as it is, we embrace finding joy in struggle. We laugh, we hold each other, we love. We only move in love, and it really is a beautiful thing that my mom has created, but that she has allowed me to now be a part of. So, yeah.
So in these groups, are there what are the demographics?
It's white people in the range. I think the youngest is probably 20s, late 20s, and the oldest is in their 60s. And everything in between, and all the ages in between. Yeah.
And all walks of life.
At
We,
all,
you know, we
yep.
have people in corporate, at, you know, C-level executive positions. We have stay-at-home moms. We have, you know, just normal everyday people that want to learn what the experiences of their neighbors really are.
Yeah, and then we have people from all over the country, and we also have someone who actually is from the UK,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, and someone from the Netherlands. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, is this is virtual or is this
Yes, it's
okay.
virtual. We meet 2 times a month for a 6-month journey. Whenever our 6-month journey start, our next one actually starts in January 2024, and it's 2 90-minute live facilitated virtual meetings. And we also do guest speakers 3 times within that 6-month journey. And we bring in people from different cultural backgrounds who are doing the work or who have lived experience talking about the systemic racism and how it affects their lives. We just finished up. Today was our last day of a 4-day summit.
Yeah.
Because this is our 3rd summit, and we do them in between our journeys so that we can invite also people of color in to hear the speakers that we bring in. And it's been wonderful. And we just finished, we had in September our very first live and in-person conference in Washington, D.C. And that was phenomenal. We took people to the Smithsonian National African American Museum of History and Culture. The hotel that where we stayed was in walking distance of the museum. So we did a silent walk over to the museum together. We have two married couples in on the matter of race, and one of those couples decided that they wanted their 12 and 14-year-old to come to the museum with us so that they could learn. And it was wonderful. They really took the silent walk seriously, and we had speakers. We had one of oh my goodness, Harriet Tubman's, thank you, relatives who came, and
Wow.
she does journeys. She takes people recreating the journeys that Harriet Tubman did. And so she came and spoke to the group because when I was directed, I believe that I was led to do on the matter of race. I was also directed to study Harriet Tubman. So everybody in on the matter of race knows how important she is to me. And I had to find somebody who was going to come to our very first live conference and
Wow.
speak about her.
That is so wonderful. So tell me, what reactions did you see from white people when they were doing that silent walk through that museum?
Yeah, just number one, that everybody took it very seriously, that it was something that they really felt was important. My sister actually used to work at what's the museum here?
Historical Society.
Thank you.
Okay.
Historical Society here in New York. And she used to give tours. And so I hired her, because I believe in hiring family, right? I hired her to actually be on the tour with us so that she could also debrief us later on. And so she was there. My niece, who also works for me, she's designed all the t-shirts for the event. She was there. And then we had 2 other people of color from one of our corporate spaces to come and be a part of it. So there were some people of color on the walk as well. And the reaction of the white people to them as well was really powerful, because for us, particularly Black people, we really were, we were so moved to walk the streets, right, where all of the greats who were fighting for the same thing, unfortunately, we're still fighting for the same thing, right? But still, all of the greats who went to DC and the March on Washington, right? We were walking in those streets. And so for us, it was particularly moving. And then for the white people, it was very moving too, to know that they could, in that kind of action, just feel that they were creating something that was making a difference. And we didn't want it to be this like, oh, let's stroll to the museum, and then we get to the museum and it's very serious. We wanted to take it seriously from the start, so that when we got to the museum, we were still in that frame of mind of reverence and openness. And we had a guided tour that was just phenomenal. And our two guides were, one was African American and one was white. And so it was really beautiful.
Wow, I haven't been to that museum yet, and I really, really, really want to go.
It is a must see for any and everyone. And I would just say definitely make sure you are in the right headspace to walk that museum, especially because there's so many floors. So there's so much information that talks about just every era of life in which that these barriers have honestly existed for our people. And I mean, definitely want to make sure you're in the right headspace. But I recommend that for any and everyone. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, a couple of questions have come in, but what I need to do is take a couple of brief commercials.
Okay.
And then when we come back, I want to go through these questions, number one. And number two, I want to know how mama and son work together.
Okay.
Sounds good. That's perfect. Sounds good. We want to know too.
No, we know.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So we will be right back with mother and son communication and conflict resolution experts, Dr. Lynne and Justin. So don't go away. We shall be right back.
With a name
Now, Cutting the Ties is now out. It says coming soon, but the author called me today and said it is now out on Amazon.com in the digital version, and next week it will be out in hard copy. So, and I helped edited it. So go to Amazon.com and look for Cutting the Ties. Now, Dr. Lynn and Justin, here's this question that came in. How would you encourage younger people to get involved in conflict resolution as compared to needing anger management later?
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. So how would you convince them to get in front, encourage them rather? Yeah. Well, do you want to take it or?
Well, you've got 40 years.
Okay.
You've encouraged a lot of young people. So I think you've got a little bit more of a formula than me, but I'll add something.
Well, here's my thing. I think that doing both actually works very well. If you do need anger management, then you should really get that help. I don't think you wait till later. I think if that's what's showing up for you, that you work on that. But in terms of conflict resolution and why you would want to do that is, number one, if it's causing problems for you, then you want to make sure that you give yourself the opportunity to do something different, to not have it cause problems, that you want to make sure that you have an opportunity to understand what is actually happening in the conflict. There are a lot of young people that get involved in fighting because they've not been offered any other way to really resolve. And even when there is a conflict resolution program in the house, usually a peer mediation program, sometimes the peers discourage them, saying that it's soft, it's weak. But I will say that that's not the majority. A lot of young people that I've worked with have been very grateful to have a mediation program in their school, because the conflict is so ongoing, and nobody seems to be able to de-escalate it, at least not among their peers. They really appreciate the help given to them in just trying to talk it out, because a lot of these conflicts start over very small things and they build quickly. You want to talk about when we're talking about culture before, some of these conflicts start over a look, and you can say, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. But culturally, nonverbals mean a lot. They communicate a lot. So, and in cultures, a look, right? I mean, I grew up with the look from my mom,
Oh, yeah.
It didn't take
The look.
anything but the look, right? And every African American mother I knew had the look.
The look.
The look. So that's a tie to cultures. When you say to kids, well, that's just a ridiculous reason to fight, then you really aren't validating that for them it is a reason. Whether right or wrong, it's a reason because of whatever cultural norm. It doesn't have to be a racial culture. It could be the school culture. But it's something that they feel that it's important. So to get into mediation, to learn how to resolve conflicts yourself as well as with somebody helping you, is really going to allow you to understand better what exactly happened and how you could do something differently.
And I just would love to offer one thing on top of that, and this is something I've definitely picked up from you, but a big piece of the way that we approach this work with everyone that we encounter, but especially with young people, in underserved communities who are just going through these certain traumas and grieving at such a young age, right? And who don't see another way for themselves. We never want to take away the tools in which that have kept them safe and kept them alive up until that point in which that we got to cross paths, right? We recognize that you as a person, you have figured out whatever has worked for you up until that point. You've gotten up until this point in which we've been able to cross paths. And now that we have, we just want to expand that toolbox that you have so that it goes from something you can carry around to it feels like you're carrying around a garage of
Okay.
approaches that you can take to all of these different conflicts. And I think that, with conflict resolution, you know, as opposed to, I guess, specifically anger management, um, so many more emotions come up as far as dealing with different conflicts. So we can talk about anxiety. We can talk about what the stages of grief, right? We can talk about all of these things, and anger is one of them. But there are still other avenues that if you don't tap into them, it can make you feel like, those tools that you have are getting some rust on it. And the reality is we just want to expand people's capacity, but also their want and willingness to try something a different way, knowing that whatever has worked has gotten them up until that point.
Oh, I love that you brought that up because that's absolutely right. Yeah, because this whole don't fight thing, I get it, but you know what? In some of the places that young people live, that's what helped them to survive. So we'll take that out your toolkit. You get to keep that.
Absolutely.
But now let's put some more things in so that you have more choices. And everything doesn't look like it has to be a fight because, I got something that I might want to try. Right, rather than throw hands right away, I can see if I can have this conversation, whatever it is, if I can listen more. Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to ask, how do you work together as mother and son? Wait a minute. And okay, so now actually you are business partners, but mama,
yes,
do you ever forget that you're a business partner and you go into the mama mode?
Well, here's the deal. We're not business partners. The business is mine, so we're straight on that.
Is he your employee?
He's my employee, but yes, but yes. And one of the things that's great is everything that we teach, we use in our own relationship. So there have been times when Justin has said, I just need you to recognize you have your mom hat on right now.
Okay.
And we're in the meeting business. And so I would really appreciate if you would flip to that other hat and speak to me differently. and I'm good with that. Number one, I never had that, always wanted that. Number two, it's never disrespectful. And if it's not that if it gets disrespectful, because if it does, I will say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right now.
Absolutely.
That I appreciate that you want to say this to me, but the way you're saying it's not going to work for me. So I'm going to walk away and we'll figure it out. And Justin's always been good with, hey, you know what? I apologize because I realized I was upset about such and such, or I was feeling this way about such and such. That had nothing to do with you, Mom. So I really do apologize for coming at you like that. And I'm the same way. I got one apology my whole life from my mom. And as a result, I've always been really clear that there's nothing wrong with apologizing when I know that I have done something that was wrong that I really didn't mean to do. So we have that kind of relationship with one another. And I still know he does not forget that I am his mom. But I do have to still work on not putting the mom hat on.
I asked that question because my son, I tease him because I'm like AARP is going to be knocking at his door soon. But every now and then, I end up putting on that mama hat, and I have to check myself.
Yeah.
Come on now, Jen. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
But I can tell he doesn't say, I can tell when I get that look like, I'm like, oh, okay. So Dr. Lynne, we only have a few minutes left, but you are an author.
Yes.
And let's see, the bestseller, Closing Conflict for Leaders, How to Be a Bold Leader. And you co-authored a book, The Difference, and the creator of the what is this, Soul of Conflict Summit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, where can we get your books?
You can get my books on Amazon. Both
Okay.
books are on Amazon, and I hope that you will. The Difference is a real inspirational one. If you're looking for inspiration to get through some tough times, there are 8 authors, co-authors who've written their stories. I've written my story is around my being diagnosed with infertility and losing my mom really back to back.
Mm,
And so I wrote about that particular story. And then for Closing Conflict for Leaders, it's really about how to use the tools of conflict resolution to be the kind of leader that people want to be a part of your team, whether it's a team at work or whether it's your team at home, whether it's a team in your place of worship or
okay.
community. Yeah,
And you also did a TEDx talk
I did.
on
Yes.
the weight of hate.
Yes,
Mhm.
I did.
So, wow.
Which,
So, briefly,
yeah, well, that's a twist. People think the hate is probably about the work that we do, like on the matter of race. The weight of hate for me is about my own personal experience with being someone who was always judged as overweight, and the hatred that I received from childhood all the way through adulthood for being someone who was overweight. And I was a dancer and I was embarrassed by teachers because of the weight, even though I was really a good dancer. And so it's really, the talk is about how we treat people when we're talking about weight, and how the hatred really does affect us, and we can do better than that.
okay, so I have a comment here, and I'm not sure of what it means, but it said it's from Sir Kevin of Kevin, who is my Kevin.
Okay.
And I don't know what he means. It doesn't
And
work.
did he work for you? He said, I've been fired at least 12 times. What's that?
That's what I was thinking. That was my first thought.
I have fired him.
that makes sense.
Yes, I have. Yes, and you're going to be fired again.
Well, I will say
You don't
that
give me what I'm asking for.
Justin's never been fired, but he has threatened to fire me then. Fire me then.
If this ain't gonna work, let me go. I'll figure it out. 10+ years. Yeah. It's gotten there. Oh man.
So, as a last, something you want to leave with my audience.
Okay.
Justin, what would you like to leave to my audience and Dr. Lynne in, wait a minute, 2 sentences at the most?
2 sentences. Okay.
I'll keep it even briefer than that. First, thank you, but I would say that small is all. All it takes is something small every single day. All it takes is some form of trying something new, something different from yesterday. And I promise all of those things and those new things and new expansions can become a new culture for you and for the people that are around you. But it starts today. So.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Lynne?
He's mad at me because I held up 2 minutes.
It's not even your show.
Okay,
Like,
anyway.
it's not even your show. You try to throw stuff.
Listen more. Listen more. Listen deeply, and listen for what's not being said. Listen for the heart. Yeah.
Okay. And you have a podcast coming up soon.
No, we have a show, our show coming up soon.
No, not a podcast. I'm sorry. A TV show coming up soon. And it also will be on Trajectory TV, which is what I'm on. And what is the name of your TV show to be coming on very, 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 very soon?
Yes. Working It Out Across Generations. That's what the song, when you saw the song that was played, it's Working It Out Across Generations.
Okay, so we'll be looking forward. I'll be looking forward to your show.
Thank you.
And I will definitely promote it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just really want to thank both of you for coming on this evening. It's just been a plum pleasing pleasure.
Wonderful. And we'd love to have you on the show once we start having guests. We'd love to invite you as well.
Yeah.
Well,
and the
thank
pleasure's all
you. And I will definitely accept that invitation.
All right.
beautiful.
Wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
you all have a beautiful, blessed rest of your evening.
Thank
You
you.
as well.
You
Thank you.
too. Thank you to
All right.
everybody who tuned in.
Yes.
Definitely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, this has been great. Mother and son. So Sir Kevin of Kevin, you see how well they work together. Okay. And maybe I won't fire you for the 13th time. But anyway, I have really enjoyed this. And I know that you've gotten quite a bit of value from this particular episode. Conflict resolution, it's all about relationships. And as I always say, there are all kinds of relationships, excuse me, and all kinds of relationship matters. But what I want to say to you is that on tomorrow, you know what? I don't even know how to share. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, you have to go to my Facebook page because tomorrow I am doing a webinar, and the webinar is entitled, now where is it here? 10 Secrets, excuse me, on how not to throw mama and other relatives from the train during the holiday season. It is a 1-hour master class, and it's all about keeping the family gathering friendly and conflict free. And we know that there are times when drama happens over the holidays. So if you go to my Facebook page, you can either go to the Relationship Matters TV page, or you can go to my Facebook page, Dr. Janice Fortman or Dr. Janice Hooker, either one. But just look for me, and there is a link there in the events where you can attend virtually my webinar. So I'm so happy that you all came today to listen to Justin and Dr. Lynne. I want all of you to have a beautiful, blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And next Thursday is Thanksgiving. And so I will be doing an encore. It will not be live. That way, we all can enjoy our Thanksgiving dinners and Thanksgiving gatherings. So be sure and just have a wonderfully blessed Thanksgiving. All righty. See you all actually in 2 weeks with Rhonda Brown, who is a singer. She has her own band. She is magnificent. You don't want to miss it. So I will see you again in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving. And remember, there are all kinds of relationships and all kinds of relationship matters. Life is about your relationships. All righty. See you next time. Bye-bye.